welcome to the TIllbrook Talks podcast. We either love it or you're wrong. Today, I am joined yet again by my new co-host, Rory. Would you like to say hello?
Hello, everyone.
There you go. And today, our special guest is a close friend of ours, someone we talk to basically every day. It is Mr. Bradley. Say hello, Bradley.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. Thank you for coming on.
Thank
It's a
you.
pleasure to have you. So, Bradley, it's a question I'm going to ask every single person that comes on, right? I'm going to ask them the same question. I don't know if you listen to the podcast or anything.
I've had a few episodes.
Okay. A few episodes,
Right,
yeah.
there's only been one out.
There's only been one out as we speak, so there's a bit of a problem. A few episodes, but yeah. So, anywho.
Yeah,
So,
I really like the third one.
Oh yeah, the third one's brilliant.
It's this one. It is going to be the best.
Oh my god, this is going to be a nightmare. So, as I was saying, Bradley, you walk into a corner shop or like your local shop with a £5 in your pocket. What are you getting?
£5 munch. Okay.
It doesn't have to be munch, just anything in the corner shop.
I said a scratch card when I said it.
I'm going to start off with a £1 nourishment.
Okay.
If you get charged any more than £1, your boss man doesn't rate you.
All right.
I will then continue and get a grapefruit KA, most probably.
Okay.
And then that should also set you back about £1, I reckon. And then it depends the vibe, you know. If it's a cheeky night out, then maybe I might buy a Magnum for £3. Again, if it's any more than that, bossman doesn't rate you.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's even £2.50.
Like, it depends on the mood. Like this answer, I could just say to you on a different day, what would be your answer, and people's answer would change because it's just a different vibe. They could feel one thing one day and one thing the other. It's just completely.
Yeah.
Here's a question, because they're normally the same price. Do you lot, when you buy a drink, do you lot prefer to go with a bottle or a can?
That's another one.
Cans
Depends.
keep it colder.
A can, I think, yeah.
But bottles just look like they have more in it.
Yeah, bottles do have more in it. That's why they don't look like they have more in it. They just
they're
do.
Normally the same price.
Where are you shopping? Bottles are more
Please.
expensive.
Yeah, no, bottles typically are more money.
Yeah, no,
but
the cans. I tell you what is undefeated. No matter what, if you can get something in a glass bottle. So like,
yeah. It just hits different. Doesn't
exactly, yeah. So like down Woodall, there's a little shop like an offie there that does glass bottles of Coke, and I'll get one every time I go in there because it just.
Because you probably need to smash someone in the head before you leave.
You bottle them afterwards.
I mean, yeah, it is Woodall. Let's be honest. That's a good point. But Bradley, thank you for coming on. That's not the outro, by the way. I'm not kicking you straight away. Can you imagine? Right, everyone, welcome, and we're done. So, let's talk about you, Bradley. Let's crack on and ask some stuff about you. So
let's talk about me.
So recently, you had your interview for your Lifeguard job, which I believe you got. Yes.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah, secured it.
Congratulations, secured the bag.
Thank you. Secured the bag.
So why Lifeguard? Like, why did you choose to go into lifeguarding? Like, what was the appealing to you? What stood out? Why did you choose that over anything else?
I think really I was just looking for a career change, to be completely honest. You know, I've been to university. Didn't really like that. I've tried a few jobs in hospitality. Didn't really like that. So I think it's just a change up vibe every day today. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What is it? Is it like your local leisure swimming pool?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So like,
and I'm assuming you can swim.
No, I can't at all. Actually, no.
You throw them the rig and that's it.
So apparently, on one or two of the applications, people have actually admitted to like not being able to swim at all.
Sure.
Not in my instance. I've just off Google. I was obviously looking at the interviews and just from like past managers of different centres, and yeah, like managers have come out and said before that yeah, people just like apply without even knowing how to swim, just hoping they can even like learn in the training weeks.
Yeah, that's what. Like, I mean, surely you do get some training. Like, I'm assuming you're getting training in your job.
Yeah, no, of course, but I feel like you have to be a somewhat decent
Do
swimmer.
you not?
Yeah.
Do you not have to have a? Is there not a qualification you need?
Yeah. So you it's like a MPLQ, which is like a qualification in first aid and then just general like lifeguard duties and whatnot.
Because I know
And-
someone that used to be a lifeguard quite a few years ago, and he's another person I want to get on here because he's got some interesting stories. But why? Like, how long do you reckon the training will be? Like, how long does it take to become a lifeguard?
I think it's only 5 days. It's like an intensive 9 to 5, Monday to Friday kind of course.
Okay.
Yeah, because I feel like as being a lifeguard, it's not like realistically, if you can swim, you can help someone get out of the pool.
Yeah,
But
exactly. It's
I
all
guess
just about
more like
procedures that you have to.
resuscitation if it went real bad.
Yeah, I think that's
have
more
you got to have
the
the first
morbid side
aid?
of things, but definitely, yeah. First aid is incorporated into it. Yeah.
Because I know that's not like the lifeguarding thing is a bit of a mix-up. It just seems like a random, like, throw of like careers that you wanted to do. Because I know in college you studied media, so why didn't you
Yeah,
like?
that's right.
Why not look for something in media? If that's like, did you finish college with media?
I did, yeah. So I got a I think in the end it was a level 3 extended diploma. It's just like a basic college course basically. So you do level 3 for 2 years, so year 1 and year 2. And then after that obviously you can progress into uni, which is what I did ultimately. In uni I took more or less the same course but with added script writing and screenplay. I realized that it just wasn't my vibe at all, wasn't what I wanted to end up in career wise. So yeah, I think I only got through really like the half the first year,
Okay.
about 6 months deep academically, and
Yeah,
I
'cause
dropped
I
out.
remember talking to you about it because I was like, "Oh, how's uni going?" And you was like, "Oh, I've dropped out." I was like, "Oh, well, brilliant."
Yeah. It was
Sorry,
sudden
don't be
how.
daft. It's not for all of us.
No.
No, not at all. No, so yeah, I think the actual dropping out of uni bit was such a sudden kind of thing, but the actual build up to it wasn't sudden at all. I think I was unhappy for about 2 to 3 months before I actually dropped out. So very early into my uni life, I did get uncomfortable and I did want to obviously find a way out. It just wasn't until it built up, I think, that I actually decided to take
Maybe
some kind of
maybe
action.
you thought like when you're going into it, maybe like, oh, it could get a bit better. Like it's not good right now, but it could get a bit better. And I imagine it just didn't. It was just getting constantly like worse, but not worse, but just the same level of unhappiness.
No,
So
yeah.
just didn't. It's not a good vibe to be around. Like if you're not happy in something, there's no point in staying there.
No, yeah, definitely.
I always
God, Rory.
go on, Brad.
Go on, Rory. Go on.
I always saw a lifeguard. People see lifeguard as like this, like the authority figure at the pool, but you also want to like because everyone wants to dive into a pool, and everyone like and children will always run. And I remember like whenever there's a lifeguard, you try and wait until they're not looking before you start running about the pool and try to dive in. Do you reckon you're going to be one of them like stingy? What's the word I'm looking for?
I think
Strict lifeguards that if you see anybody bomb into the pool, they're straight. You get your whistle in your mouth. You're straight out the pool.
I think so, Rory. I think so. You see, as much as you hate them as kids, I feel like it's important
it's
to
safety. Yeah,
you got to be. I think the two biggest things you have to be is firm and friendly. So I don't want to obviously look like the bad guy, but at the same time, I don't mind if that means enforcing the rules.
Because at the end of the day, rules are rules, isn't it? Like they're there for a
Exactly,
reason.
yeah,
You've got to enforce them, no matter. Like you said, Rory, like you hate them, or what, Bradley? I can't remember. What you said?
No, yeah, I said it. Yeah,
it was.
You're not allowed to jump in pools, are you? Is that a rule?
I
feel
think
like that's a rule.
like
isn't it?
I don't know if that's all pools. Because I feel like I've been to a couple of pools that have had that, and a couple of pools that haven't. Like you just do whatever, or not do whatever.
Yeah,
but to a certain extent.
Yeah, definitely. When I was growing up, I went to Hatford swimming pool a lot, and you was allowed to jump into them ones. You was allowed to
I
dive as
just feel like,
well.
what's the point? Realistically, what's the point of taking your kid to a pool if they can't jump in? That was like
Exactly, yeah.
half the fun of a pool was to jump.
I think they should, obviously, like most swimming pools that I've been to in facilities, they've dedicated days to, obviously, like kids' days. I think they're called like fun days or fun zone or something like that.
Mm.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Where you set up like big
With the
inflatables
massive
and then
inflatables.
Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah.
god!
Mate, those
Yeah.
were the those.
Oh,
Yeah.
If someone had a pool party, if someone's parents were minted enough and just rented out the whole pool and they would get the massive inflatables, I needed to be at that party.
oh,
Those were
No,
always so sick.
So I think most facilities go about it a really good way because obviously they have dedicated days to where kids can do that. They can, mess around and jump in the pool, and but then equally, like on majority of the days they have, the retired lot come in to do their daily swims or their weekly swims. I think that's a really good way of running it because that way you can have, like you were saying, Rory, like you can have your kids jumping in. That's what for them. That's what the pool's all about. And then you can also have a sophisticated side to it.
See, it just appeals to like a swimming pool. Just appeals to every audience. Like everyone loves.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
can't go wrong with swimming. Like even now, I would still go on the inflatables. Like I'd push the kids out of the way. I would not give a shit. I would fully just bomb down those inflatables, and I think that'd be such a motive if when we get the chance to get people to go to one of them.
Here's a question. What's your weirdest or worst pool experience?
I need Oh
Okay.
god.
Should we go first, Alex?
I think I told Rory the story. I can't remember it, but my mum has told me I nearly drowned when I was a kid in like Aquasplash. Do you remember Aquasplash?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes.
my dad was talking to someone, and then I was floating, and then I've just fallen through. But my dad was talking to this man, like not facing me, because I was floating and fine, and then I was just under the water. My mum's looked out and gone, "Where's Alex?" My dad's just turned around, like she's gone, "Where's Alex?" My dad's turned around and just picked me up, and like, but apparently I nearly drowned.
Picked you up by the leg and pulled you out the water.
No, but apparently he just picked me up, and just, like my mum was shitting her pants, like, "Where the fuck's Alex?" That's one that always stands out to me when I think about
sun's
it.
drowning. Hang on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pick up my dad though. He saved me life.
Yeah. I can't think of anything that I've had. Once, do you know? So just talking about the inflatable things. Once when I was a kid, I went over the edge and I went under it. I obviously wrapped around under it. And so I like tried to put my head up over the water and I couldn't. I was just headbutting this inflatable. My dad had to drag me out by the leg.
Oh fuck.
Yeah. And then that was like, don't get me wrong, I wasn't knocked out or anything. I was just obviously a kid. I didn't know what I was doing. Because I was just freaking out at the first obviously thing you do when you're that kind of age. I couldn't have been any older than 7 or 8. As you freak out.
Yeah, I can imagine you freaking out. I mean, you'd panic, wouldn't you? You'd just be like, "What?"
Yeah, exactly. The more you waddle, the more you get yourself in a rut. Really.
I did have another time.
The weirdest I'd ever had is in Spain, and I didn't even know this was a thing. In Spain, me and my dad went to like this. It was like half an indoor pool, half like sauna place, and we went in, and we were the only one wearing trunks. Every other man in there was like them tight speedos that only just cover enough. And we were like, "That's weird," but didn't think anything of it. And we got in the pool, and the lifeguard came up to us, and he like didn't speak a word of English. But it turns out you weren't allowed in the pool unless you were wearing speedos. And my initial reaction was like, "Right, what kind of place have we come to here?" But apparently, there's pools in Spain that you can't wear like trunks; you have to wear speedos. And my dad was like, because there was a shop, and my dad was like, "Would you want to go buy some?" And I was like, "There is no way in hell I am seeing you in speedos." And we left that pool immediately. But I didn't realise. I thought there was like I didn't know there was like a dressing code for swimming pools.
No, you wouldn't think so, would you? Like just a dress code for a swimming pool. There's not like. I mean, obviously, to wear something, you can't just, a lot of places, you can't just go in where you're stark bollocks naked, but to have
Yeah.
just Speedos only, that's a bit strange. But I guess
I've
it's
Yeah,
also
I've
been
always-
kicked under the water whenever I like. You know, you dive under and there's people's
Yeah.
legs everywhere. I've been kicked before underwater by some random lady.
That's what you get for perving on them.
Yeah.
Just having a little perm, she notices just bollock.
Do you know in the movies when they put on like goggles and they go in the water and they like
That's Rory.
that's
Rory in his Speedo and Spade just under the water. just looking for some weird shit. Oh man. So you hopefully, Bradley, you won't have to come across anything like that. When
No, I hope that won't find any like
Yeah.
stop bollock naked
Hopefully
boys
you
in
won't
my
get any
pool or
creepy
anything.
kids.
creepy naked kids just perving up women. Oh.
So what is your dream job, Brad?
That's a very interesting question actually. I don't know. It at the moment I feel like it's been changing a lot recently, and all I know is that at the moment where I am currently, in the terms of employment, I'm very content. I think that's for the short term plan. I think that's all you can ask for.
I've heard lifeguards get paid well.
Yeah, no, it's not bad. It's not bad pay at all. I mean, at the moment, you know, I just work in a cafe, so.
I mean,
there's not a pool in a cafe, is
there? You do get cafes in pools, so maybe like it's just
gone
through the door and just gone through the door and like I could work in there actually. just gonna swap. Like, sweet. But like, I don't. It's when I see lifeguards like in pools and stuff. It's a lot of the time because there's nothing. A lot of the time you can just go for a day of having absolutely nothing, and just all you do is sit there and just watch people swim. Is that like?
Yeah. So when I was googling, just like general, you know, questions and answers that lifeguards were doing or surveys, so just to kind of get more information on the whole, you know, like job role. I think I saw statistics somewhere, and obviously don't quote me on this, but I think it said something like 98% of the time a lifeguard won't have to jump in or do anything on his day to day. It's like it's very, very low chance that a lifeguard will ever have to actually jump in the pool. But that's more the reason to be more alert, because obviously if you have like a good week where you don't have to do anything and you let yourself slip, I guess that's when the issues come about. I mean, I know when I was a kid,
could die. Like you'll not die, but something serious could happen when you just think,
Yeah.
oh, nothing's gonna happen. I'll be fine. You just kick back, relax, maybe go for a piss or something. Then the next thing you know, on your watch, someone's dead.
Yeah, no, yeah. I remember when I was a kid, I used to play a game. I think it's called Dead Man's Corpse or something like that.
Okay.
Where it's like you kind of see who can hold their breath the longest, but how you do it is you lay on your stomach and you float up.
Oh, I know what you're on about. Yeah.
And and I think about it now, and I think, Jesus Christ, like I must have made the lifeguards' jobs like so much harder than they had to be, because they just had to spar me the whole time to make sure I wasn't actually drowning.
Yeah, I guess as well with like a lot of instances in the pool, you probably have to like guess sometimes.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I've seen
Love to go underwater.
I've seen in certain clips how like a kid might tumble on their toy, you know, like the inflatable toy, and they might go underwater, and even if it's for like a split second, a lifeguard will jump in, because that split second can make all the difference.
Yeah.
See, I remember a time when I went on holiday with Mum and Dom, and there was our neighbours in the chalet where we went swimming, and he wasn't a confident swimmer, but he the lifeguards wasn't paying attention, and the lad who he was with was drowning. So Dom, being the absolute legend he was, has just jumped in to save this boy's life, because he was in the deeper end. He was he's a bit younger at the time, so he couldn't touch the floor and he couldn't really swim. So he was struggling. He was like, oh shit. So Dom, bless him, was just jumped in fucking head first and grabbed him and just pulled him out. And then the lifeguard jumped in about 10 seconds after Dom. I was like, oh my God. Like, you should have got paid for that. remember saying to him, I was like, you should have got paid for that because these people weren't even doing their job.
Were you lot ever terrified of the deep end?
Yes, because I'm not a confident swimmer.
My brain used to tell me there was a shark.
Yeah, that's my own problem. I've never been a weak swimmer. But yeah, I've like Rory said, I would always convince myself that there was something underneath me, even though it would be clear. I'd be able to see straight down. Like, yeah.
Because you never thought.
Yeah, in some pools, in some deep ends, you couldn't see the bottom, so I thought something would come up.
Oh God.
Yeah, I feel like in the Hatford swimming pool,
the diving board bit.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably. I can't actually remember because I haven't been there in so long, but I feel like you couldn't see the bottom of that. To be fair, very clear.
See, like that's another thing I wanted to chat to you about. I know it's not lifeguard related, but that like you was talking about Hatfield and you haven't been there for so long because you obviously used to live there, and now you moved up to Harpenden. When did you move up to Harpenden? So it wasn't that long ago, was it?
It was about 4 years ago.
4 years ago. So it's like completely changed for you. Like your whole going to school, like all of the mates you made has just it completely changed, and you've just ended up moving up to a different area away from everyone. So what was that like? Like to be so far away from all your mates that you made, and like because you don't have a license, so neither do I. But it wasn't like saying, you can't drive. Like you don't have a license, so it's a lot harder for you to come down and see people. But what was that like to have such a big change of scenery and not be able to see your mates as frequent as you could before?
I think the change was nice. My favourite change personally for me was not having to be so worried about the area, because obviously it goes without saying that Hatford isn't the most gentrified area.
Oh no.
And so I think moving from there to Harpenden, it was definitely like a shock on how much nicer it was, just as a whole. Obviously, and that's nothing against Hatfield. That's just how I feel personally. And
so how did you get into this whole group? Who did you come with?
Sorry, fucking hell, you can just cut this bit out.
Hang on.
Sorry.
Go. Bradley.
Rory. I thought Rory was supposed to ask the question.
No, I've already asked the question. I'll get Ollie to cut this out. Just crack on. Right, okay, right. Silence. Answer.
So I think originally it was. So I was friends, obviously, with Chad from the age of about year 9. And then, obviously, Chad being, for the audience, Chad being a friend that's mutual to all of us. And then I believe one day I was in an Xbox party with him and just a few others. And then I think you, Alex, you joined.
I did.
And then I got speaking to you a little bit. And I found out that you and Chad, obviously, you went way back because you used to go to school together. And then I think I turned up to a house party once.
Yes, I got you invited.
Yeah, and I think I met a lot more of your group. And then I think over the years, it's just kind of like merged, like mix and match, like different, obviously.
I think
people have come in and out.
It really helps that we all have Xbox. Like, cause I think
definitely.
Xbox is a massive thing for us because we can just communicate with each other. We don't even have to play the same games. We just chat to each other like every day.
Yeah, that's a good point, because people, a lot of like older generations will say, obviously, that Xbox is bad for you and you should be outside, but it's actually a very good way to for your kids to socialize and not meet new people necessarily, unless they're friends of friends, but like to keep up with your mates, especially in times like this where you can't go out and see them. God knows what I'd be so bored and like out of my mind if I didn't have Xbox and I couldn't talk to you lot on Xbox.
I would be absolutely screwed if I didn't have this thing. Like, I wouldn't know what to do myself. It'd be useless.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just really good as well for the social side of things. Obviously, during the whole of this, global pandemic, the one way we've always been able to socialize is obviously if we all just jump on Xbox, which I think is really underrated.
See, that's what we had at the start
Especially-
of the first lockdown, when it like we had parties of 10 people just sitting together,
Yeah,
playing
just
whatever.
yeah.
It was brilliant.
I think a lot of people give, like gaming consoles or whatnot, like, an antisocial name or an antisocial vibe,
Yeah.
when that's not the case at all, because a lot of the time they go on it because that's their way of socializing.
You do,
and I think that especially was shown in the pandemic. So
you do get people like, I know a few people who will just go on Xbox to grind out games and not be sociable, but that's a very minute, like,
I mean,
group.
yeah,
Yeah.
Xbox and PlayStation. They're all. It's got a lot of uses. It could be just a forum to talk to your mates. It could essentially. It's just like being on the telephone, just to a bunch of people, like a bunch of your mates. So it's nothing different to what like older generations have done. It's just when you can't go see your mates, you can talk to them on Xbox, but you can also like play a game at the same
while
time.
you're doing it, yeah. Like, I play COD, you play Rocket League, Bradley plays Roblox. while we
don't get mistaken, I need to play Roblox when I've got nothing else to play.
yeah. When we got
Do
like,
fade him out there.
yeah, a little bit. Like, we'll play all different games, but still be able to talk to each other, and then we could just play a game together if we're like, right, what should we play? There's nothing. You don't have to play a game together, but it is always nice to have that option. And it's something to do. Like you said, with the older generations, going on the phone was a way to talk to your mates who aren't close by. I mean, Rory, to me, you're close by. Bradley, you're not. But
Yeah.
it's like the way we talk to each other instead of just phoning
exactly.
each other up. That's one way to do it. Which is, it's always nice. And
I mean,
consoles do get a lot of hate, which I don't think is deserved. They can be addictive. Like, I can see where people come from with addictive
yeah.
consoles. Like, I used to be on the Xbox 24/7, but it's just a nice thing to have, like, to unwind for a lot of people.
I do agree that in that regard, like, it does, especially, and I think parents get annoyed because obviously they don't see as much of their kid because they want to be on Xbox, and I'm guilty of that. I would literally come home from school, go straight upstairs and be on Xbox until I had to go to bed. But you need to find, it's like find that nice balance where you can socialize with your mates, but then you also need like time away from Xbox. You actually do need to go outside and like.
But I feel like that's just with anything in life, is you need to find that right balance. I feel like the hate against. I mean, I'm not just talking about consoles here. I'm talking about like gaming in general. I think, the hatred towards it from parents is so ridiculous and so uncalled for, because, there are worse things your child could be doing out there.
100%.
I would much rather have my kid, upstairs. Again, like Rory said, I think it is important that you do show them the outdoors and you do show them what like life can really be about if it becomes a problem to the point where they're not socializing in real life or anything. But I think, if it was, say, like 6 or 7 p.m. on a school night, I'd much rather my kid be upstairs on Xbox or whatever he wants to play rather than outside.
Just because,
like night to night.
Like, the streets are dangerous. I mean, I know that's horrible to say, and it's something like we would, even like when we was younger, would sometimes walk home in the dark, and it's just a dangerous time. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. People are so unpredictable, and you, like, in the dark, you can just hide anywhere. It's shit that that's what the world is at the minute, and it has been for a very long time. And you see all these protests that are going on, which I don't have a say, because I'm not a woman. It's a horrible thing that's going on with the whole Sarah Everard. I mean, I don't know if that's something we should get into. It's very, we're not touchy subject.
I'm happy to get into it if you want to get.
Yeah, but it's one. I do have a very, it's not controversial opinion, but it's something that I've spoken to people about, and they've sort of been like, yeah, I can see where you're coming from, of all the protests that happen for different things, like all of these.
So is this the female that was murdered by a police
officer? Yes. Like, the police are getting so much stick for it, and the police themselves hate this man. Like, he was just a rogue person. To them, he was just a murderer. He wasn't a police officer. He was just a murderer. He was just employed by the police at the time. It's like I was saying, with all the stuff that's going on, the process and stuff, it's good. It's such a shame to say, but it's not gonna change. Like, there are still going to be people, no matter how much you protest, because I completely understand why they're protesting and why they're doing what they're doing, and I hope something does come out of it. But from what I can see, I can't see anything changing, because there's still going to be absolute creeps and absolute weirdos who will be out at night and just do the same stuff that they do, because that's just who they are or how they want to do stuff. It's going to be, maybe they could crack down on police and, like, to get police roaming about, but then you need more police, and then you need more money to pay the police. And it's just, if
I think
Yeah, but I think that's the biggest issue with everyone's like angst against the police, is the fact that they've got such a high budget and they're not doing rightly by the budget. I think that's a lot of these hashtag defund the police posts are coming about, and I couldn't agree more with them, if I'm honest. In the sense of, obviously, not straight up defund the police, take the money away, blah blah blah. But I think money should be allocated more carefully.
oh no,
I
know
think
what
they
you
should
mean.
take better care in deciding where their money goes. For that exact reason, I feel like that there needs to be more care taken in the employment process in all. I think they need to screen their police officers better. That's just my opinion. I like you said, like, there's always gonna be people that are wired differently. There's always gonna be people that just snap out of nowhere that seem completely normal. But I definitely feel like you can take more precautions.
I feel like there
and
is
minimise
something
it.
that can be done, but
Yeah.
there are still going to be threats out there. Like, no matter what.
No, I agree, but if we just sit by and do nothing, then nothing will be done. So I can see exactly where these protests are coming for.
I think it's also, a lot of it is when something like this happens, it's not so much, oh, we need to stop anything like this ever existing, because you're never going to get a perfect world where every single human is good.
No.
I think it's how like a black man that has no affiliation with the police, if he murdered somebody, he goes straight to jail. He gets the hardest treatment. Whereas, for example, the George Floyd situation, a white police officer murdered a black man, and it took a very long time for that white police officer to get put in prison.
Yeah.
Because they it's almost like they get treated. It's like they're treating their own differently, and they're not there to form friendships between themselves. It's to protect other people. And I think people are annoyed that potentially men, but I think more in this case it was a police officer who's there to protect you has done it, and police are, when it's a policeman, they seem to get away with it a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head with how disgusting it is that the police are almost like they're almost got an immunity to them just because they're wearing a badge.
I think
that
I think, sorry to interrupt you, but I think, like, what it is the police are like, I think there is some, higher up in the police, I think there is some really good people, and I think what they're thinking is they've interviewed these people, they've had them here for so long, they're like, oh, they're protecting, and they're this and they're that, and then all of a sudden they do something bad like that, and they're like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? Like, they don't. I think it just takes a bit to process what they're gonna do, because they're like, right, we can't look bad, but also this man, like, say for example, I don't know if he was, but this police officer in the George Floyd situation could have been an outstanding officer, had so much done, and then he's done this, and because there's so much public outlash, Like, this man's been so
Yeah.
loyal to us, but we have to let him go. They just need to come up with the situation. That's maybe why they didn't do it straight away.
I feel like that's disgusting, and I feel like that's a disgusting reason. I'm not saying that's your reason.
No, no.
I feel like if that was their justification, for example, that would just be straight disgusting. I think loyalty shouldn't. Do you know, like, how they say that the bro code isn't to protect your, like, pervy friends or your friends that take it too far? I think it's the same kind of way. Like, the loyalty in your workplace shouldn't be taken to the extent where you protect a disgusting individual.
Yeah.
And I feel like the problem, a lot of these.
Go on.
A problem. The problem I think the general public have with the police, especially in the George Floyd situation that Rory was talking about, is that these police don't have that loyalty. Like, regardless of anything, they've not even been there long enough to make friends, let alone form any kind of a loyalty. And the police training is a joke because of how quickly it can be done. You know how they say it takes 5 years to practice law, but it takes like a month or two to enforce it.
It is a bit ridiculous.
And I understand that the protest isn't. It's like, it is barking up the wrong tree because you're having a go at a majority of people that are good, but you have to bark up a tree and
to get attention.
And
yeah,
to get attention. And I genuinely think if protests didn't happen about that, like, let's say nobody protests about George Floyd, I think that police officer would still be a police officer. I think they would have brushed it under the carpet, and if nobody makes an uproar, then they can just almost act like it didn't happen, and it's just a black man that's died on the streets.
Yeah.
So
I think there has been situations like that.
To bring attention to exactly. So they always need to do these protests to bring attention to it.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely been stuff like that that's happened that has just come out of we found something like man's been found in the street. It could have just been police, but we're not going to know because they're going to be the only ones that know it.
Yeah,
and
in regard because you hear a lot of stories about whenever some, like, school shooters in America, they always interview the people around the person that did it, and it's always the same. Oh, he was such a lovely person. I never thought they would have done this. And it's like the second that somebody sees, so like you said, when a police officer does it, they could have been such a good police officer, and they're just in a bit of shock, and it takes more time. That's where abuse of power comes in.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
If I see that a police officer is getting less harsh punishment for murder, and I'm sick in the head and, like, I'm going to commit a murder, I might as well become a police officer first because I know I'll get away with it. So it's like you need to have the same punishment for everybody. So there is it just discourages people from doing it.
100%. I completely agree with that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So I was just gonna ask for a subject change, actually, if that's okay. So Rory just brought up the punishment, and it just made me thought, what's everyone's opinions on capital punishment? How do we all think about that?
So explain some more about that.
So capital punishment is obviously punishment by the state, which is normally like death row.
Okay.
So throughout the years, it could have been not so simple like death row is these days. Although it's very, very rare, death row. But you know how these days it's all about injection or like a gas chamber of some sorts. It's never obviously hanging. That's been ruled out. But do we agree with capital punishment? Because me personally, I don't agree with it. I think an eye for an eye makes the world go blind. So I feel like
if you make someone suffer, you deserve to suffer. If that's it, I think it depends on the crime. I think if you are a man who's, for example, a serial killer who's been caught and you've been sentenced to death row, I feel like that is justifiable because you've ruined so many people's lives. There are situations where people escape from prison and you don't want that man to be on the streets again because he's just been a murderer or whatever. I think in certain situations it's acceptable, but only certain ones. Nothing like. I think if you've done it in like a gang thing, like you have it, like you've killed a rival gang or something, I think that could be prison time. But I think people should suffer if they've done something extremely bad.
I see what you mean.
Like, you can't have
But
people running about, like, possibly escaping prison and stuff, running about who are awful, awful humans.
No, I agree. But then I think capital punishment and death row as a whole is immoral, and I know that's very brave saying that in relation to what the crime could have been. So obviously, like you said, for example, if you murdered 6 people, and then for me to sit there and be like, "Oh, it's immoral to kill him," that's a bit far fetched, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I appreciate that, but I understand obviously that, but at the same time, I think capital punishment goes wrong more than it goes right. So not only, I mean, if you've seen Green Mile, that's
stop
that's
it.
a
You'll
big
make
thing.
me
But,
cry.
but if you've seen Green Mile, you know there was so many wrongfully convicted people because what this ties in back in what we were saying earlier. There's just no kind of consistency with the police. You know, if they wanted to frame someone, they would frame someone. I'm not saying that that's obviously a very blanket statement, and I don't mean to say that across the whole police force. But I mean, there's multiple situations, isn't there, online? It's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't take more than 2 minutes of googling to find out that the police are known to wrongfully convict people.
I think if there are if there's definite evidence, like you are 100% sure, like that person has done it. Like, there's no other way it could have been anyone else. Or like camera footage of this man stabbing someone, and like they've just gone on the spree of murders. School shooters, for example, let's put it into that. Okay, school shooters, they may be young, but they've gone into a school of innocent children with a gun and took a load of them out. A lot of them, there's a lot of cases where it's murder-suicide, where they turn the gun on themselves. If they don't, they get arrested, and it's definitive proof. Like, that was them. That could have been no one else. I think in that situation, capital punishment is... I'd 100% say that person should be dealt with like that.
Yeah, I guess like I definitely see where you're coming from, but I feel like there's better ways to make someone pay. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like for certain sick individuals, there's certain ways you can make them, you know, held more accountable for it, and
that is a problem as well. Is from what like studying psychology, can you so let's say somebody's committed a murder and they go to trial and they are found guilty, but they are also found to have psychological issues that are biological or are a result of poor child upbringing. Can you then tell me that you are going to kill that person because of what they've done, even if they can't fully control what they've done?
I think if you kill someone, you should go to prison.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
No
100%.
matter, I think there's things like...
Should you go on death row?
I feel like there's I feel like the you know the charge or the sentence with 25 to life without parole, which is obviously 25 years. Obviously that's a life sentence, and then they can sentence. You know, it's not rare for a judge to sentence someone to 4 life sentences, so they'll be in prison for 100 years without parole.
They're there for life. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so I feel like in them cases we should just be doing that, and rather than straight up kill someone, because like I said earlier, an eye for an eye does make the world go blind, but at the same time these people do need to be punished. So why not give them, you know, that charge? I feel like the punishment of knowing you're never going to leave that facility or that institute will be enough punishment. And I mean enough punishment in relatively, obviously, and I don't mean that as sentence this guy to 4 life sentences and his family will, the victim's family will forgive him. No, that's not how it works at all. You'll never get, what's the word? You'll never get like pure justice.
Yeah.
But I think it's the best you can do in that situation.
I think a lot of people just want to watch, like, say, for example, someone's killed your son. They want to watch you suffer. I think in that moment, it's justifiable for them wanting capital punishment. If you've murdered someone's child,
so
go on.
I agree that personally, I think if you take away somebody's fundamental right to freedom and to live, you lose your fundamental right as a human as well. But I don't know whether killing them is the right option in terms of capital punishment. But I think so. One area I do agree with is if you are a child rapist or a repetitive rapist of anybody, you should what's the word where you have like your genitalia removed,
like chemical castration.
Yeah, I think you should be have castration because
I completely agree.
You've lost your right to that. No, I think the whole justice system and the whole prison system is messed up anyway. I think from all these Netflix documentaries I watch, I know they're probably trying to show what they want to show, but I think the prison system has been so built up to make prison as bad as possible so people don't want to come back, not put people in there and help them psychologically recover and come out a better person and not the same person that goes in. I think it's make it as bad as possible so when they come out, they don't want to go back in.
Yeah.
But you see so many people that come out and have nothing that they actually want to go back in because they have more when they're in prison.
Yeah, there's like homeless people. You see stories of homeless people who just steal stuff
just
so they can go to prison to have
you have a
roof
over your head.
a roof over your head and meals instead of struggling.
I think prison should be, for most people, prison should be and this is probably the therapy in me talking therapy, but I think it should be a place of like, I can't think of the word now, the words left my head, but a place where people go to get help.
Like rehabilitation.
Rehab. Sorry. But the problem with that is, will people abuse the fact that they can get free rehabilitation if they go to prison?
Well, yeah, I think that's always been the issue, and I've seen a few cases just out of like research online, out of pure curiosity, and I've seen a few cases where the offender will actually claim that they're clinically insane because that way they can take a lesser punishment. It won't be as harsh because you're not gonna chuck a clinically insane person in a prison. You're going to put them in a mental facility and give them treatment.
Think they need to be assessed before.
Well, they are assessed, but the problem is I don't know about these days, but I know in the early 2000s it was way too easy to get past these assessments because you just literally had to act crazy, say a few lies, and you were through. And at the point that you're killing someone, a few lies isn't anything.
I think someone should assess them beforehand. When they get arrested, assess them, and then
that's the problem. If you have such a bad childhood upbringing where you are abused by say for example, you're abused by your parents, and you're just taught that this aggression is normal, and then you go out in society and you are aggressive and you are arrested, is that person a bad person? Because they've just grown up, like how we've grown up to know not to break the law. Some people grow up only knowing aggression because it's what they've been shown by their parents. And then they go out and they do something bad and then they get arrested and then they get called like an abuser.
I think.
And it's like, is that person a bad person, or is it just because of that's what they've been taught?
I think that, I think that like 75-80% of your evilness, say for example in this situation, I think that is how you've been brought up, definitely. But I think the saying, how some people are born evil, I truly believe in that, because I've seen people grow up in the worst like home environments. That their parents aren't around, their house is barely together, and they've grown up to be, they've gone to university, they've graduated, they've got good degrees, they've got good jobs, they've got good relationships, all of the above. And then I've seen people from rich backgrounds, the complete opposite, grow up to be massive arseholes, to do something really dodgy and get caught and get themselves in trouble with the law. And so I think for you to sit there and be like, oh, this kid is only like this and we should bubble wrap him because his parents were shit, I think that's such a lame excuse. I'm not saying that about you, Rory. I'm just saying, like, I've heard people use that as a
No, I think as well. Argument. I think I can't fully remember what I've been taught, but I'm 70% certain that you can be born more likely to be a criminal. Like, as a child, you can predict who is going to be a criminal. Well, you can make an educated guess at who's going to be a criminal based off their brain structure.
Yeah.
Which I think is very fascinating. Here's one more question, and this is what my site. Do you remember Miss Fellows?
Yes.
TIllbrook in Canberra. She had one opinion that I think is very out there, and I want to see if you guys agree with this. If somebody commits a murder or commits a very bad crime, not just like stealing or something, but a very bad crime, and they do their time and they come out of prison and they do it again, her opinion was at that point, you should be part of human testing and human trials to make humanity better. So, like testing for how to cure cancer. Her opinion was at that point, you are tested on to make humanity a safer place.
I
don't think that's the worst idea.
I think that ties in very closely to capital punishment, because
it is very close to that.
I feel like at that point you're stripping them of their human rights. And again, I understand this is very controversial because, if someone does something really bad, they do deserve to be punished, and I'll stand by that no matter what. I'll never ever defend a criminal, but I feel like at the point that you're doing human trials, like, when does it stop? Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like at that point you've got such what's the word called? Just like I don't know. Do you know like how the Hunger Games has got like a set structure to life?
Yeah.
How like there's rules to life almost. I feel like at the point that you go to prison for something really bad, you come out, you do it again, and you go to this, like, you become a human tester. I feel like at that point you've got rules to life, and I think that strips you. I think that strips you a lot earlier than you think of your human rights. I feel like before you even commit a crime, your human rights are being restricted. And again, that might not be the most educated statement. I could be wrong. There could be plot holes in that, but that's just. I think that's just something to kind of think about.
And as well, do you want? So there's a video that I watched, and I recommend everyone to go watch it. It's by Prince EA, and it's along the lines of something about I think it's called "I'm Going to Kill You" or something, and it's about, do you want to physically kill the person that has done the crime, or do you want to kill the person within them that's done the crime? And he does this whole, it's like he's like a storyteller.
Yeah,
I've seen about this woman. Yeah, he talks about this woman who had her son killed, and they captured the person that did it, and he goes to trial and he gets accused and he gets found guilty, and as he's leaving, he looks at the woman and the woman goes, "I'm going to kill you." And then he does his time in prison and he comes out and he's got nothing. This kid's just going to go back to living on the streets. And the same woman whose son this guy killed comes up to him and goes, like, "Have you got anywhere to stay?" And he says no. And then she takes him into her house. She feeds him and she helps him get a job. And he comes out and he goes to university and then he gets a proper job. And then he goes, "Why have you done all this for me?" And the woman's like, "Because remember I said I was going to kill you. I have killed you. I've killed the person that killed my son, and now you're a different person." And it's like, that's why I talk about we should be looking at rehab, because you don't want to. I don't think you should physically need to kill the person. I think you should need to
Kill that
the
negative part of
person
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
within them. Yeah, the
But I
person
think
that's done that.
there are some cases though that is a possibility. But I think there are just some
Mm.
cases with no matter what,
Like lost hopes. Yeah.
then
Yeah.
they're just gonna. It's just gonna be a thing that's just gonna be how they were born, how they are. Like you could be like, oh, I'm gonna kill the person. You can try to rehabilitate them, but it's just not gonna work, and they're just gonna still be the person who they were when they went in there,
Mm.
no matter what.
Mm.
But it's just it's sad to say, but yeah, I think personally that question you asked, Rory, I don't think that's the worst idea in the world, because the problem that people have with animal testing is that animals are doing it. Like animals don't have a say in it. I mean that person. I know that's kind of contradicting. Sorry, saying like this person has a say. They don't. But what they done, like, animals don't do anything. What they done to get in that situation, I feel like is justified because of what they've done to the society, and what they've done has broken the law
Mm.
in a very bad way. Say like a serial rapist, they do
Mm.
their time, they come out, and then they do it again. I feel like that's
Yeah, I think
justified, and I feel like
I think I agree with you. If I think it's a last resort.
Yeah,
Like, this person has been to prison, they've done their time, and sometimes you can't come back out if it's like you've been given like 4 life sentences or whatever. But if you've gone to prison and you've had rehab or some form of help, and you are still the same person, at that point, I think
yeah.
you lose your human rights because you've taken somebody else's human rights.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think. Sorry, just to like almost contradict myself earlier and play devil's advocate. I think in certain situations there is, like we just said, there is no going back, and so something I feel strongly about is people that take advantage of minors and underage, children or teenagers. I think that if you're, like you said, Rory, if you're a serial rapist or if you're a paedophile in any sense, I think you should deserve the worst of the worst. And I think if there's a pure way of convicting that, there's no way the child could get misled or evidence buried, or, if this was clear, transparent, this is you, we've got you in fucking 4K color, I think you do deserve some sort of severe punishment, if not capital punishment.
100%.
So I just thought I just wanted to get out there. But obviously I know that is contradicting what I was saying earlier. But I think the hardest thing is
I think I agree with you. The more I think about it, potentially, if you're going to do capital punishment to somebody, which is end their life, and I know it's technically probably a form of torture if it's a bad test, but if you're going to kill them, like, why not use, if you're taking away their rights, why not use them to better humanity by testing for like cancer research and stuff like that?
I feel like it should still be consensual. I feel like
I don't know about that, because
I feel like you should find these people and be like, oh, like, you're on death row, here's this. How about I give you, I don't know, 5 days in the yard? Like, you're allowed to go out and have exercise if you do these human testings for us.
Yeah, you could also, because not all human testing is bad. Not all human testing is going to kill you if you do it. You could be absolutely fine. You could be the one person that has the correct treatment where you've cured something, and you could use that for potentially criminals that could get out, I don't know, when they're like 100, and say, I'll take 10 years off your punishment if you agree to do these trials.
That's a fair point. Yeah, bargain with them. So it's like, so you can give them consent.
I think in
think
severe cases you could get
the
their
best
their
situation is the people who, like, we should test on the people who have done the worst to society and give them the option to help, like, not help, but say, like, bargain with them and say, we'll do this for you if you can do this. I think that's fair.
Yeah, but then I don't know. Just like I said earlier, I feel like the moment you start bringing in these immediate changes and these big changes to the hierarchy and like a social structure that we've built over years and years as like the council, the government, the general bystanders and civilians, I feel like you're just bringing in a new world order, and at that point you are just changing our lives how we know it. Such a drastic amount, and I know obviously to me, you and Rory, that this isn't anything because we're not hard done by criminals.
Yeah.
So this wouldn't affect us, but I feel like as a whole it will affect society.
Okay, I can see where you're coming from. Yeah.
And I feel like the moment you start bringing in these, tomorrow it could be, punish all people with capital punishment, and then next week it'd be, we've brought in a new tier structure, which means if you've ever smoked weed in your life, you live in this certain zone, or I don't know. It just, I feel like the moment you bring in one thing, it can bring in
the tip of the iceberg.
But do you not potentially think that doing an eye for an eye in severe cases stops it happening? Because I guess if people know the punishment they're going to get, that could stop you from doing it.
But then, so this might be a bit factually incorrect. So please correct me if I do get anything wrong. But I think places like Switzerland, and maybe like Greenland,
a great justice system and prison system.
Exactly, yeah, because their justice system actually works. They bring in criminals, they get turned around, they get good life opportunities, and they come out better. The general population is so much more happier. Whereas if you look at places like, I think it's like, again, this might be factually incorrect, so please, don't quote me. But if it's somewhere like Indonesia or I don't know, somewhere just in the Middle East or Asia, South Asia or something, if you steal, you get your hands chopped off. I don't know, like street punishment. That doesn't stop people stealing. People still need to steal. Whereas if you take them, you show them a better opportunity, or show them how they can get food rather than stealing. They're going to take that.
But do you not think that could encourage crime to people that have nothing? So a homeless person that can't afford therapy will commit a crime so that he can go and get free rehab, and he's seen what it does to other people. So that could encourage crime.
No, I completely agree, but I feel like there's already a set amount of people committing crime for that anyway, that there might be a way to implement a system that could reduce it already, that more than already is. And what I mean by that is, there's my dad told me a story once about how he knew someone that was homeless, and he punched a police officer just so he could have a few nights in a cell.
Yeah, that's like what I was saying before, just so they can get a roof over their head.
Yeah, exactly.
And so they commit a crime of some sort to get protection.
Yeah, I don't think no matter what you do, you're never going to find a perfect system.
No,
there's always going to be
definitely
some way it'll be abused or it will go wrong, but it's just about finding the best one.
If we put it properly, right, there's no way that everyone is going to be satisfied with something.
You can't please everyone.
Exactly. Everyone's got their different opinions. Everyone's got something.
As you say, some people aren't going to like this podcast, and they are wrong.
Speaking of, I think, boys, we have waffled enough for today.
It's a long one.
It is a long one. And it has been a very good one.
It's been a very interesting one.
Yeah.
And you can get a banging... I'm telling you, you can get a banging title out of it.
So, thank you again very much, Bradley, for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. And you might even come on another time. If maybe the fans will request it.
maybe we can get more of a funny one rather than a serious one.
Yeah, we could do. Well, I'm planning at some point to do one with all the boys.
TIllbrook's last 2 ones have been a bit more jokey, so it's good.
So don't you mean last 3 ones? Because I've definitely seen 3.
Oh yeah. The other thing you've watched.
Oh yeah. So thank you again, Bradley. My plan is at some point to get a couple of the boys on and just have a waffle session when
we should do it on a Thursday, Friday night, maybe get a few beers in.
Yeah, that'd be a good shout. I'm down for that. Right.
Do what the boys do. Do a live stream.
Yeah, that'd be a good show. I like that. So, yeah, thank you again, Bradley, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I have been Alex TIllbrook of TIllbrook Talks. Thank you to Rory, my co-host.
Thank you.
And I shall speak to you all. Oh, before I forget, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, all of that jazz. Just get me up, hype me up, shout me out if you want. You don't have to, but if you feel obliged to, give us a shout out. So I shall speak to you all in the next one.